Once upon a time, in a quaint little town encircled by a mystical forest, lived a young woman named Elara. She was known for her vibrant smile and lively spirit. But if you looked closely, you could see a veil of sadness in her eyes. Elara had been feeling the crushing weight of rejection. Whenever someone said no, ignored her, or gave her a dismissive look, her heart grew heavier and tighter, constricting her with pain. This heaviness left her questioning her worthiness of love and acceptance. She was passed over at her workplace for a promotion she had poured her soul into earning. Even her close friends seemed to have distanced themselves, opting for gatherings she wasn't invited to. All this magnified her sense of loneliness. Each instance was a separate cut, deepening a wound that seemed to gnaw at her with every heartbeat. This rejection weighed on her so heavily that even the activities she once found joy in now felt burdensome. She would catch her reflection in the mirror and wonder, is there something inherently wrong with me? Her self-esteem plummeted, her posture slouched, and her vibrant spirit dimmed like a setting sun. It was then that Elara began hearing whispers that seemed to drift into her mind and spoke of the mysterious forest that lay just beyond the town's edge. This forest was no ordinary place. It was said to be transformative, imbued with ancient wisdom that echoed the enigmas of life itself. Locals spoke of its power with both reverence and awe, and the few who ventured into its depths returned altered in ways that words could not describe. On a crisp golden autumn afternoon, as she was sitting on the porch contemplating the maze her life had become, Elara felt an undeniable, almost magnetic pull towards the forest. It wasn't just curiosity. It was as though the forest itself was beckoning her, softly calling her name that resounded with every fibre of her being. The pull was so strong that she felt it could hold the answers to her healing, to releasing her from the suffocating clutches of rejection that kept her stagnant. Elara felt her heartbeat quicken. Could the forest guide her to reclaim her lost self? Could it help her heal the wounds that seemed so incurable? With a newfound sense of purpose, she quickly packed a small bag, grabbing a bottle of water and a cherished notebook. This notebook was her sanctuary, a place where she scribbled her deepest thoughts and fears. As she laced her hiking boots, she felt the strangest sensation, a flicker of hope mixed with trepidation and excitement. And so, with a hesitant yet hopeful heart, Elara took her first step into the mystical forest. The path ahead was shrouded in mist and uncertainty, much like her own life. Yet she somehow knew it was time to do something, as it was too painful to stay stuck under the crushing weight of rejection. Elara ventured deeper into the forest. The mists seemed to part ever so slightly, as if the forest itself was encouraging her to proceed. At this moment, Elara experienced her first real act of self-compassion in many months. Choosing to follow this magnetic pull, this serenade of whispers from a mysterious forest that promised her nothing but held the allure of everything. And so Elara's journey begins, not only through a forest of towering trees and winding paths, but also within the complex maze of her own shattered self-esteem and the haunting echoes of rejection. Elara continued on the mysterious path with her small bag slung over her shoulder and her notebook tucked inside. What began as uncertainty gradually transformed into curiosity. It was as if this path held the secret to a life filled with genuine connections and a deep sense of belonging and acceptance. As she ventured deeper into the woods, she felt the trees silently bear witness to her inner turmoil. They seemed to murmur. Much like our unseen roots helps us to endure the storms, your untapped strength makes you resilient in the face of rejection. Stepping out from the embrace of the trees, she found herself in a clearing bathed in soft golden light. It was as if she had entered a sanctuary where the whispers of the trees transformed into a visible tapestry of shifting light and shade on the forest floor. As she looked around, in the clearing stood a fox, its coat radiant in shades of burnt orange and dusky amber, swishing its elegant tail. The fox tilted its head, examining her with wise, almost human-like eyes. "Why so down?" the fox inquired. Elara looked at the fox, startled by its eloquence, but also strangely comforted. "I've been rejected in love, at work, by friends, even family. Every no feels like a weight pulling me deeper into a sea of unworthiness. I feel as though I'm drowning in it," she admitted, her voice drenched in sadness. The fox held her gaze, as if peering into the depths of her soul, and said, "Ah, rejection, a cruel tutor, yet a tutor nonetheless. What if I told you that rejection is not your final destination, but merely a stepping stone on your path to self-discovery? It's an invitation to a grander adventure that you've unknowingly been preparing for. Follow me." The fox's words resonated with Elara in a way she couldn't quite articulate. It was as if the fox had presented her with the riddle that held the promise of liberation from her suffering. The invitation was unexpected, yet precisely what she yearned for. A reason, an opportunity to challenge the narrative she constructed around her rejection. With her heart pounding in hopeful anticipation, Elara followed the fox through a winding passage of ferns and foliage until they reached a babbling brook. The water was so crystal clear, it looked like a sheet of glass, mirroring the sky and trees. On the other side, sunning itself on a smooth rock, was an ancient turtle, its shell patterned like a tapestry of wisdom earned through the ages. The turtle looked up and smiled. "Ah, you must be Elara. The forest whispers have spoken of you. I hear you've been taking things too personally." "How can I not? When I'm rejected, it affects the core of my being," she retorted, feeling defensive, yet also curious. The turtle continued, "Consider this, Elara. when things affect you. It's like the trees losing their leaves in the fall. It's a personal experience, yes, but not a personal failing or attack. The trees don't moan the loss of their leaves. They understand it's part of a larger cycle dictated by the seasons. They use the opportunity to gather strength, rest, and prepare for new growth. In the same way, the opinions and judgments of others are merely projections of their own lived experiences and limitations, defining who they are and not your self-worth. These experiences are stepping stones from which you can grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Learning this distinction can set you free. Elara looked at the turtle and then back at the fox. She realized that they were not just characters in her journey. They were mirrors reflecting the wisdom but had failed to recognize. In its timeless wisdom, the forest had drawn her into its depths, not to lose her, but to help her find herself again. And so, continued the turtle, your journey must be one of understanding that the leaves of rejection are precursors to the blossoms of self-love and acceptance. They pave the way for a deeper, truer understanding of who you are, unburdened by the opinions and judgments of others. Embrace these stepping stones, young Elara, and you'll find not just your way out of the forest, but your way back to yourself. As the words of the ancient turtle seeped into Elara's consciousness, she felt a transformative energy begin to stir within her. It was though the thick vines of rejection that had entangled her heart were slowly but surely beginning to unravel. She felt lighter, inspired by a newfound sense of purpose and clarity. Guided by the wisdom of the fox and the turtle, and empowered by her newfound self-awareness, Elara felt ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. She was on the cusp of discovering the self-love and acceptance that had long eluded her, waiting patiently for their moment to bloom. Elara's footsteps seemed lighter as she moved through the trees, their canopy filtering dappled sunlight that danced like a kaleidoscope on the forest floor. Grateful but still wary, she wandered into a foggy enclave where the air was thick with the perfume of damp earth. The fog hung heavy, much like the questions that clouded her mind. As she navigated through the mist, a majestic owl appeared on a branch, its eyes glowing like twin moons in the twilight haze. "Who are you?" the owl hooted, its voice echoing in the still air. Elara paused and looked deep into the owl's penetrating gaze. "I'm still figuring that out," she replied, her voice tinged with both vulnerability and a newfound hope. "Ah, the words of uncertainty," the owl responded, rustling its feathers thoughtfully. "Uncertainty is the cauldron where transformation brews. You see, trying to control every outcome, especially when it comes to the judgment of others, is like trying to tame the wind. The wind blows where it will. All you can do is adjust your sails. The owl paused, letting its wisdom settle in Elara's heart. You need to let go, Elara. Feel your feelings fully. Be present in them without condemnation. When you are rejected, resist the urge to attach shame or inadequacy to your very existence. Understand that you are not living a monologue, but a dialogue with the universe. Your experiences, even rejection, are part of that conversation and not a judgment defining your life's worth. Encouraged by the owl's wisdom, Elara pressed forward, her heart thudding with anticipation and dread. Finally, she arrived at the darkest part of the forest, where the shadows seemed to whisper secrets and riddles. Here she encountered a magnificent deer, its eyes like luminous orbs, and its aura casting a gentle glow that pierced the darkness. You're almost there, the deer spoke in a voice so mellow it felt like a caress. But before you cross this threshold, let's address your pattern of trying too hard, along with the numbing behaviours you've used as both armour and shackles. These coping mechanisms, whether it's overcompensating in relationships, obsessive controlling, or reaching for external numbing agents, they are your familiar but limiting allies. Acknowledge them, thank them even, for they have served you in some way. But then you must let them go. Elara felt a shiver of recognition. The deer was articulating the shadowy corners of her psyche she had been too afraid to look at. It was a moment of reckoning. In their place, the deer continued, cultivate allies of self-compassion, self-love and acceptance. Instead of reaching for things to numb you, reach within to heal you. You already have all the resilience and strength you need. Your rejection, trials, and coping mechanisms are chapters in your book, not the epilogue. Close the chapter. Turn the page. Your next chapter is one of healing, acceptance, and rediscovery of your worth. Are you ready to write it? Elara took a deep breath, her body tingling with a mix of apprehension and exhilaration. Yes, she said, I cannot live this way anymore. It is time for change, and I am ready. With the wisdom of her forest guides and empowered with a sense of self-love and compassion, Elara crossed the unknown threshold with unstoppable courage. Freed from the chains of fear and rejection, she was now on a soulful journey to unearth her boundless potential and self-worth. In that defining moment, she felt a freedom like never before. The freedom to be authentically herself without apology, compromise, and the need for external validation. She knew this inner transformation was more than a fleeting change. It was a profound shift within her and would serve as her guiding light, illuminating her path through life's twists and turns. The moment Elara consented to her new chapter, the forest around her seemed to resonate with her resolve. Trees appeared more vibrant. The air felt lighter, and an energy, subtle yet unmistakable, seemed to flow through her. It was as if the forest itself was acknowledging her transformation. Closing her eyes, Elara felt a deep, soulful alignment, as if every fibre of her being had finally found its true north. Rejection is not the universe singling you out for punishment. It's a redirection, a cosmic nudge towards the path that's truly meant for you, she whispered to herself. Internalizing her newfound wisdom, Elara imagined her previous rejections taking the form of heavy armor she had worn. With her eyes still closed, she visualized unfastening it, piece by piece. As each piece fell away, Elara felt lighter and lighter until she was virtually floating. When she finally opened her eyes, she knew that her ordeal had given her an invaluable reward. A liberated mind, free of the weight of past rejections and judgments. As Elara set her feet on the pathway back to her village, each step was inspired with a sense of purpose and quiet joy. Gone was the looming darkness of rejection that once clouded her mind. Instead, the forest's lessons breathed life into her, almost as if each tree and creature had become a part of her internal landscape. As she crossed the boundary between her mystical forest and her hometown, it was as if she were transitioning between two worlds, the inner and the outer, the spiritual and the material. Although everything around her seemed unchanged, the houses, the cobblestone streets, the familiar faces, Elara herself was profoundly different. She moved with a grace that drew people towards her, an invisible aura that spoke louder than any words could. Her experience in the forest, while dreamlike in its intensity, left notable marks on her soul and her mind. She knew now that rejection was never an end, but a new beginning, a hidden blessing in the grand tapestry of her life. Elara felt empowered, not by the approval of others, but by her newfound self-love and acceptance. She re-entered her world, taking with her the invaluable gifts of resilience, courage, and self-compassion. For Elara, each new day was an opportunity to live the wisdom she had acquired, to share her light and love with herself and with those around her. She understood now that the only constant companion on her journey was herself, and it was her relationship with herself that set the tone for all else, and how she experienced the world around her. As you've journeyed through this story, let its deeper truths nestle gently into the soil of your subconscious. From this moment forward, let every instance of rejection be seen as a form of divine redirection, a cosmic steering away from what's not meant for you and toward what is. In each such moment, realize you are not broken or diminished. Rather, you're being guided ever so subtly to where you truly belong. Remember, your worth is not dictated by external circumstances or opinions. You are an ever-radiant being of light, filled with self-love, acceptance, and an inherent sense of self-worth. The next time you feel the cold touch of rejection, recollect the wisdom of the forest, the whispers of its creatures, and Elara's transformational journey. You are resilient. You are worthy. You are loved. These are your absolute truths. Embrace them fully, for this is your ever-unfolding tale of liberation, a journey towards the highest, most authentic version of yourself. And in that authenticity, you, like Elara, will find your own version of happily ever after.